Are you tired of being weighed down? Have you fallen asleep on your health? This is your wake up call with my dad, Keith, my husband, Kyle, and me, Ashley.
Good morning, everybody. This is our heavy house, and it is day 48. It is a Saturday. The work week is over, and this is a holiday weekend for us, and we're looking forward to having a good weekend. This is one of the days of the week that we don't have an assigned topic. We may get one eventually, but Saturday is just kind of a free day to talk about whatever we want right now. And I thought today we could, and I don't know if this is happening for y'all, but I kind of wanted to share a little bit about how so far on this journey, eating right and doing some more exercise than usual has really been helping me mentally. I am prone to have some mild depression. I've never been treated for it. I've never been on medication for it or anything. I think, and this is probably partly our diet and partly that the sun is finally out for more than just a few hours a day because we're into the summer now.
Yeah, we're getting out in the sun.
Right. I wouldn't be surprised if in my past life I've been vitamin D deficient, which also causes you to be depressed. So I get down a lot and I worry a lot. I have a bad temper, which part of that's in my genes. I can't help it, but part of it, I could help probably. So, but what I have noticed though is since we've started this, my temperance has been more even. I haven't been as moody. I've been happier. There have been times that, where we've had discussions about life or things haven't gone the way I wanted them to go. Whereas in my, past, it would have tore me up for days at a time. I would have been down in the dumps, and I feel like I'm getting over stuff better and I'm just moving on better and I'm not blowing up as easily over little things. And I really believe it's due to my system is balanced. It's getting more balanced. I'm not putting junk and chemicals in my body every single day. My body isn't inflamed anymore. I just feel better mentally than I have in a really long time.
I think that probably has a lot to do with the food.
I do too.
No doubt. I'll tell you another thing that helps me as far as mentally is to stay busy.
Yeah.
And if you've got a lot of activity as far as your work goes, and plus you still got to work in your physical exercise and all that kind of stuff, it keeps you busier.
It does.
And you don't have time to think about all this other peripheral stuff.
Yeah, you're right about that. And even just cooking, it takes a little bit of time to cook vegetables because you have to prep them. You have to chop them up. You have to cook them. You have to prepare them. And so I spend a little more time in the kitchen than I used to because I'm not throwing a box of mac and cheese on the stove or cooking something out of the freezer unless it's a bag of vegetables. It takes more, you're right, it takes up more time. And going on walks is taking a lot of time because especially at first, I didn't walk very fast. So, you're right. The more busy I am, I think the less time I have to worry about other things. But
right.
I just wanted to share with everybody that that this whole journey isn't just helping my body, and it's not just helping my weight, but it's helping my brain as well. When you're healing your brain, everything in your world gets better. So.
No doubt.
Well, and I think we kind of touched on this yesterday with the concept of the flowing river cutting through rock. Our mental attitude has shifted. It's not just those benefits that you've already mentioned. It is a overall more positive attitude. And I think that's helping us as well. For me, I don't wake up with the mental haze anymore. I used to wake up and my brain would just be foggy. It would be like that for half the day, at least. Now I get up, I go get a big glass of water and my brain's pretty much kicking. It's ready to go. For me, I'm just seeing stuff in a completely different light than I was before. Hormonally, I think there's some stuff that has changed as well that has an impact on our mental state and attitude. For me, I know you mentioned your temper or your temperance. Hormonally, I think my body is healing itself. And this is based on the way that I feel on a day-to-day basis, but also the fact that, I'm not getting upset or angry. My body's not stressed out all the time. Before we started this, I was having on a pretty regular basis, I was having anxiety and panic attacks. They weren't, major deals. It was, my body just kind of went into overload and sights and sounds, everything under the sun just seemed like too much. It was just overwhelmed by everything. And when these waves would hit, and I, bless Ashley's heart, she got to put up with me when I was like it, or was in it, and it's bad because it's not rational at all. I mean, I get very irritable, I get fidgety, I can't sit still, my heart rate would jump up. I was panicking. I was going into this overload mode, and I wasn't very nice when it happened. And it's just me being honest right now. I just was not a nice person when that kind of stuff happened.
And I would try to be understanding, but then again, I'm usually, even when I am anxious or depressed, I'm still pretty rational about it, and so it's hard for me when he would have these moments and freak out. It would be hard for me to understand what was happening because there wasn't a rational reason for it, And you're right, you haven't had anything like that happen in a long time. So
yeah, really, when I say that it was irrational, I would be connecting dots that didn't connect. And it's kind of like when your brain, just imagine putting too much information into your brain at one time. And it's just like information overload, and your brain kind of short circuits, and it's connecting dots that shouldn't be connected. Or,
you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of, and computers still do this, but especially like computers 10 or 15 years ago, if you had more than one or two systems running at a time, they would just like quit working, it would be like, all right, too much is happening and I'm done. Right.
All right.
That's kind of what it reminds me of.
And what stinks about it is that it wasn't just an overload of information. It was, sights, sounds. I would just get, and I've always been this way. Certain sounds just irritate me, just drive me up the wall, like for no reason, just drive me absolutely nuts. And, I'd get into these panic attacks and bless Ashley's heart. The first time it ever happened, I had no clue what was going on. And it was Valentine's Day. And, bless her. There was no rationale behind it. And it came on so quick, and it was just like lights and sounds and then trying to discuss our way through it, and I wasn't making any sense, and
which makes me mad. Which makes him worse. Yeah.
Your heart rate jumps up, and see, kind of looking at this, that pushes like adrenaline out, and when it pushes adrenaline out, that just short circuits your brain even more. So it's just kind of like snowball. I haven't had those issues since we started changing the way that we eat, since I've been getting exercise in, because
yeah.
And I kind of wonder, I know that the inflammation's part of it, but from a hormonal standpoint,
that's what I was about to say.
We're giving our body a rest. Like we're the triggers that our body have been relying on, or we've pushed our hormonal system to the point that we've got fatigue. It's just like our adrenaline system or our hormonal system is tired.
Well, let's think about this for a second. Well, we know that our bodies don't process meat very well anyway, large amounts of it anyway. Just the makeup of meat, what it's made of. But let's also think about where our meat comes from. It comes from these big factory farms where they push all kinds of hormones and antibiotics and who knows what other kind of chemicals into these animals.
Not to mention when they go to slaughter.
And when they go to slaughter, they're probably scared, so that probably pushes all kinds of adrenaline and weird chemicals in their body too before they die. And then who knows how they're slaughtered, if it's clean, if there's feces on it, if there's infection. So they're slaughtered, they're cut up, they're processed, they end up at our grocery store, and we pick it up and take it home and eat it. And we don't know what's happened and where it's come from and what chemicals or hormones have been injected into it. And we're eating that.
Yeah, it's crazy because, like, pork, let's just use pork as an instance. And we could get on a soapbox about companies like Smithfield and how they do stuff, but pork, it's considered a white meat. Well, most of the time when you get actual pork, like if you've ever seen an animal slaughtered in a more humane way, and I don't know, that's kind of a oxymoron in some way, but it's like you see an animal who's slaughtered with respect for the animal. Let me put it that way. Respect for the animal and with a level of cleanliness. The meat that comes out is not the same color as the meat that you get in the store. So steaks and pork chops, they pump those things full of pink salt and nitrates.
Right.
To
make it look more appealing. Yep.
And we're putting that crap in our body. So you think about all those stressed out hormones from when that animal's killed at the very end, in an inhumane way. It's stressed out right up until the point it dies. We're putting those kind of hormones into our body, and our body has to process them. Overall, I have felt more at peace in the last 48 days, 47, 48 days,
40
whatever
something. Yeah.
in the last month and a half than I have in a long time. And that's not to say I don't get angry, I don't get upset, but it's not near to the nuclear fallout level that it was before.
Well, we cope with it and we move on, and we have the brain power to be like, well, this is what we need to do about it. Let's do it and move on. Not, let's dwell on it and feel bad about it and ruin our whole week, you know.
Yeah.
Dad, didn't your grandfather stay away from certain kind of meats?
He did. He had a farm and grew up with killing what they ate.
Right.
And he would talk sometimes about how clean the animals were and how they lived, and he wouldn't touch chicken.
Because they'll eat anything.
Yeah, they'll eat anything, and that's what he used to say. They'll eat anything, so he's not eating chicken. I don't think he had a whole lot of pork. He would eat some beef, I think. But even back then, when he grew his own meat, so to speak, he was still really picky about what he ingested.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's crazy. He watched his food growing and knew where it came from, and here we are just buying it off a shelf, having no clue anything about it, where it comes from, or how it was raised, or anything like that.
That's right.
So that's pretty interesting.
Makes you think.
It does.
Just a disconnect.
Yeah.
And you think about.
I don't think we grow up and hamburger is hamburger.
Right.
We don't think a thing in the world about where it comes from. Chicken nuggets or whatever. We just eat. And when you really start thinking about it, it'll mess you up. Just thinking about what am I doing?
Yeah. There's a scene in that TV show we've talked about called What's the Health, or it's a documentary, I guess. I think it's still on Netflix, so if you haven't watched it, you should go watch it, y'all. But there's this scene that I cannot get out of my brain. And it is, y'all are going to get grossed out, so just disclaimer here. A pig has just been slaughtered, and it's going down this conveyor belt where somebody has a knife. I guess they're checking these pigs for disease, or I don't know what exactly they're doing, but it's coming down this conveyor belt, and this person stabs this newly dead pig with a knife, and maybe I still want to throw up just thinking about it. Pus and yuckiness oozes out of this pig when they stab into it. And then you wonder, is that pig going to continue down the conveyor belt? Are they going to continue to process that thing and wrap it up and send it to a grocery store? That's disgusting. I can't, it is on an instant replay in my brain. Every time I even think about pork, I think about that.
That is why, I think you see this coming back around. People are trying to reconnect with their food. They're trying to reconnect with the things that they eat. That's why I think you see a growth in the homesteading movement. People just don't trust the food industrial complex.
The FDA laws are very loose. They can do whatever they want, really.
Right. FDA is not there to protect the people. It's there to protect the companies.
It's there to protect their money. Right.
Yeah. And so, you see people starting to raise their own food, going out and making small farms. And that same pig, if it had an infection, on a farm, they would take care of that infection and let the pig heal. Most of the time, most farmers with common sense would not take that hog to slaughter with an infection. So, and that's something else. I think about the more I learn about foods and like cultural things, that's where halal and kosher foods come in, because there is a level of cleanliness that's required in those.
Right.
Which
Yeah.
halal and kosher both require that, well, pork's out. So it's, I mean,
It's not a
beef,
clean animal. Yeah.
right, beef and chicken, lamb, mutton, those things, but those animals have to be inspected before they're even slaughtered to make sure that they're okay. So
Well,
they have to pass a clean
yeah,
bill of health.
right. And
And
that's
then
a
they're
religious
slaughtered.
thing, but it's a health thing too. And if you look back, even our God in the Old Testament had rules on which animals were clean and unclean. And
Well,
I
yeah, you
feel
look
like
at,
that was for a reason, like he knew he created these animals and he knew which ones were safe to eat and which ones were not.
yeah, I mean, there's just the Old Testament food restrictions on shellfish. I mean,
Yeah, and
shellfish are bottom
any
feeder.
bottom feeder fish. Yeah.
Any bottom feeder fish was considered unclean. I mean, any fish without a scale. So, like catfish. I don't get me wrong. I love some catfish. That's one of my, as I've gotten older, whole bone on catfish is one of my favorite fishes. But, I mean, they eat the dead
Junk.
stuff.
Yeah.
They are, when you talk about bioaccumulation, which is a concept that is, pretty strong, in the argument against eating meat, they are probably one of the more heavily bioaccumulated fish out there. They bring all these toxins in. They are the cleaners of the ecosystem, and then we're going and eating that concentrated toxin bomb. How do we expect our bodies to react?
Right.
Shrimp,
Yeah.
lobster, shellfish are the same way. So
Yeah. Well, we kind of took a little tangent here on the end, but it just goes back to say all these animals have all of these chemicals and hormones and whatever else. We have no clue what we're eating. And when we're eating these on a long-term basis, like all of us grew up eating meat. We are all far into our adulthood and have eaten meat our whole lives. And you don't know what the meat is doing to your body until you stop eating it for a while and notice the difference. If you've always eaten chicken nuggets every day your whole life, you don't know what your body feels like without chicken nuggets until you quit eating chicken nuggets for a little while. None of us knew how good we would feel until we stopped eating meat products, and now we know the difference.
Yeah. And I think that's where certain plans like the whole 30 get people on track to that,
Right.
because it is an elimination diet.
Yeah.
But I think you've got to go beyond that. And what we're seeing is, when you get into eliminating things from your diet in regards to meat and dairy, dairy is a whole nother beast. That is even worse than meat. So
I don't know that's even worse, but it's bad for a lot of the same reasons. Well, it's like we're drinking the milk of another animal, and milk is made to nourish a baby with hormones and nutrients and all this stuff and fat, okay? So we're drinking the hormones that were meant for a baby cow. In what world does that make sense?
Yeah.
It doesn't. And I'm not sitting here saying that I may never have a milkshake again for my whole life. I don't know if I will or not. I'm not saying I may not have another steak for my whole life. I don't know if I will or not. But I will say if I do, I'm going to be sure I know where it comes from.
Yeah.
But anyway, I wanted everybody to know that the benefits of this lifestyle goes far beyond your physicality and your health. It helps your mental state. It just helps you feel better. It gives you a better attitude about life because your body is finally in tune with your brain, and that's an important thing. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap up. Do y'all have anything else to add for this today?
No.
All right. Well, thank you for listening. And again, if you have not watched Forks Over Knives or What the Hell, I just highly recommend doing that. They are informative documentaries. They really open your eyes to your body and your health and the food industry and how animals are processed. And I just recommend you watch that and just give it a try. You know, give up meat for a week and see how you feel. You may like it. You may like how your body feels without it. So anyway, thank you guys for listening. We'll be back tomorrow for our Sunday summary, where we will summarize what we've done this week. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and follow us on social media. See you tomorrow.